Okay, with that, we move on to the fireside chat titled Automation of the AP Function, Imperative for a Strategic CFO. First up, I'd like to welcome on stage the moderator of the fireside chat, Ashwani Mishra, Technology Editor, ET Edge Insights. Kindly put your hands together for Ashwani, please. Thank you. And to join him, I'd like to welcome the members of the fireside chat, Ankur Bhageria, CEO and founder, CashFlo. Kindly put your hands together for Ankur. And Praveen Agarwal, ex-CFO, Piaggio Vehicles. Kindly put your hands together, ladies and gentlemen, for Praveen too. Ashwani, over to you.
Right. Good afternoon. Am I audible? Thank you. It's been a great day. Some great learnings that have been shared by the esteemed finance leaders. Uh, I will quickly set the context of this discussion. Thanks, Ankur and Praveen, for participating here. So I have been interacting with business and technology leaders across sectors over the last few months, especially. And while through these conversations that I've had with them, there are three key areas that have stood out. The first is how they reshape and rewire themselves, how they can use advanced technologies like the cloud, artificial intelligence, machine learning, automation inside their operations. The second is how they can leverage massive amounts of data out there and bring advanced analytics into their business, not just bring it in an algorithmic sense, but bring it in a more human sense so that people have the capacity to use it. And the third is how they can tap the digital resources out there to innovate for their customers, create new products, new services, and at times new business models to drive growth. Well, I'm sure most of you in this room would be on a similar course of journey. So this session is particularly focused on accounts payables and the automation and the importance that it has for the function. The accounts payable function in general, has traditionally been slow-paced, manual, and more paper-oriented. Now, before we talk about the benefits that automation can bring in, let's talk about the challenges. Let's start with you, Praveen. What are the challenges that organizations typically face when they look at automating their accounts payable function?
Good afternoon, everybody. I would say the one prime reason for people going slow on AP automation has been the financial return concept. What really happens in industry is that possibly the lowest cost people are doing the data entry, and even if you put instead of 5, 10 people, it hardly matters.
Right.
So the financial returns not being really encouraging, so people were going slow on automation. But the benefit of automation really are to be seen in terms of a strategy. The type of managerial information you get, the controls, the correctness, the timeliness, like when you talk of your bringing out your balance sheet within 7 days of year closing, it cannot be done manually. So
right.
these type of, in fact, now we are talking about online. So these are the things which cannot be achieved without automation. Automation is such a big function, like if it is manual, then it is the largest team in the finance and accounts function.
Absolutely.
So it is very important that people think of automation, and things are evolving now. Say I have spent my life in automotive, tier 1, tier 2, OEM. There are huge number of transactions, large number of vendors, large number of parts. People want just-in-time delivery, so same part coming 20 times in a day. So ballpark average size company would be doing 500 transactions a day.
Absolutely.
And the big ones would be possibly doing 10,000 transactions a day.
So does this make it more cumbersome and tedious,
It is, absolutely. So like it's humanly impossible, or even if it's being done, it's very inefficient and error-prone. So automation is the real requirement for AP today.
Right, Ankur, your views. You have been helping businesses automate their core finance processes, manage cash flows better. Now, while Praveen did mention about the challenges, financial return is one of them. It's been too complex to manage these processes. What's your take on this?
First of all, thank you for having me. So it's interesting that you raise this question because we actually our journey started with helping the finance function uh, deliver timely and early payments to their suppliers to manage their working capital better. But in the process, what we've realized is like Praveen said, the average company in India today actually does not have access to a lot of technology tools which are affordable. Most of the automation focus has been towards the very large enterprises, and that's a fairly well evolved and mature segment. But the average enterprise today, take a tier one auto component manufacturer or an API manufacturer in pharma or any of these, like across sectors. Today, something as basic as making vendor payments happens on an Excel sheet where there is a,
Right.
Praveen, correct me if I'm wrong, but there is an accountant that's actually populating an Excel sheet of payments for all the vendors. Let's say they have 100 vendor payments. They're actually entering the bank details on an Excel sheet even today, going to the net banking portal, uploading it, and then it gets processed. And after that, this is the interesting part. They then reach out to each and every vendor manually on email saying, hey, we have sent you the payment, here is the UTR number.
Right.
And post that, then they sit with the bank statement and they start reconciling entries, right? Now, this level of manual activities, apart from productivity, and today a lot of conversation is around improving productivity. And Praveen, like you rightly said, because the cost of resources is low, people don't think that it is valuable to automate. But really, what they're exposing themselves to is potential errors, potential for fraud, lack of governance, because this is such a critical process for the finance function. And if you start applying the productivity lens, you end up exposing yourself to far higher risks, right? So, to my mind, it is more a matter of visibility, control, and governance. And that is what is actually needed, in this function because, frankly, the way it stands today, it's like a ticking time bomb.
Right.
We actually had one of our clients who mentioned that a year back, they made a 30 crore payment to the wrong vendor.
Oh my God.
And then they spent the next year trying to recover it, and they couldn't recover the entire amount because the entry in the bank file upload was incorrect, right? Now tomorrow the accountant leaves, somebody else comes in. Who do you trust, right? I mean, these are things that cannot be left to chance, no matter how strong your manual processes might be. So, in our experience, every client we talk to, there is an increasing focus on governance. ESG, of course, is a big topic
Right,
these days.
yes.
Increasing focus on getting visibility on their spends. Where are they spending? Where should they cut down? Especially in today's environment, and overall process control, right? So that's sort
Absolutely.
of
So very well put, Ankur. So visibility, control, and governance, key factors that are drivers here. Yes, please. I was coming to you, Praveen. Yes.
You can imagine AP represents roughly 80% of the company's sales.
That's huge.
And it is processed by the lowest capability employees, lowest paid employees. So basically, we are taking too much risk if we don't automate.
Absolutely. Yes. 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 Right. So while you've spoken about the benefits in some form and the risks that are there, if one does not automate AP function. Now, could you also elaborate on the best practices that enterprises need to take? Ankur, let's start with you, and then we can have Praveen, delve deep into this topic.
Yeah, look, I think when you look at what's happening in the global markets, right, I think that's, some of the best practices we're seeing in the US market and European market. Praveen can potentially comment on how the large enterprises in India market are functioning. But what we're seeing is, companies are taking a, modular approach to solving this problem. What I mean by that is, in the past, folks would say, oh, give me an entire procure-to-pay solution, right? An end-to-end solution right from the time I start my procurement to the time I make a payment. Now, the challenge with that is massively long implementation cycles,
Right.
significant risk of failure, right? But nowadays, what companies are saying is, let us break down our processes. Let's look at AP itself as a process, right? Where once the invoice comes in, what do we do to automate the rest of the process? And so they are deploying just that module and seeing significant upside because the risk of failure reduces. You're not beholden to one partner to do entire procure to pay, and cost automatically reduces as well. So that's one key trend that we've been seeing. The other thing we're seeing is, in terms of best practices, companies are looking at SaaS kind of solutions as opposed to doing sort of custom implementations.
Right, right.
And I think that's again a massive driver of value for companies because again the risk of failure goes down, right? You can, if the company doesn't deliver, you can terminate in a couple of months. But in a large implementation, the historical way it used to happen, you're looking at 20, 30, potentially 50 to 60 lakhs going towards implementation without very clear justification of ROI. So I think those are some key sort of trends we're seeing. But Praveen, I think you're an expert here, so please.
No, in India, obviously the